The Architectural Review Board of the Town of Southampton now come to order. Welcome to the February 4th, 2025 meeting. Ms. Doyle, the ARB attorney, would you read the legal regulations for our hybrid board meeting?
Yes. Good morning. Board's meetings continue to be hybrid, which means they're being held both in person at Town Hall and via video conference. On the Town of Southampton website, there is a Town Clerk's Meetings portal. That is where you can find links to watch the live stream video of each meeting, or you can submit written comments for the public record. You can also find a link to join the Zoom webinar. If anyone is attending via Zoom and you wish to speak during the meeting, please alert our moderator by clicking the raise hand icon or typing in the chat box. If you're here in person to present, then please come up to the table when your application is called. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Doyle. Mr. Rump, the Vice Chair, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rump.
Very welcome, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Jankowski, the Board Secretary, would you please call the roll and notify us if we have a quorum?
Mr. Wright?
Present.
Mr. Teglavia?
Here.
Ms. Keys? Mr. Burke?
Here.
Myself, Mr. Rump?
Here.
And Mr. Chairman, via Zoom, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Jankowski. Did the board members that were present at the January 7th, 2025 meeting read the minutes, and were there any errors or omissions?
None.
If none, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion has made and second to approve the January 7th, 2025 minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you. Any old business to come before the board before we start the agenda? None? So then we'll start with the agenda. The first on the agenda is a substantial residential at 20 Luther Drive. 20 Luther Drive Watermill. Is the applicant available?
Is the applicant available for Luther?
On Zoom.
On Zoom?
Sure.
Okay. Should I ask Kevin to see if we can get more volume for Mike?
There.
He can hear us. Kev, can you give Mike more volume for the room in here,
Please?
please?
Good morning. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Terrific.
Right,
Nice to
hi.
see you all again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. I'm Ron Zachary, the architect for 20 Luther. The board has plans and renderings before you. We previously had submitted 8 Luther, the adjacent property, and my client is developing both of these parcels. The plans you have before you for 20 Luther, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, did you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard you say something. It's a 1.86 acre lot with quite a bit of street frontage. It's on the corner basically as Luther kind of wraps around to the cul-de-sac.
Ron,
And
can we
Yes,
stop you
sir.
for a second? Do you have the plans on your computer that you could share with us via the Zoom?
I do not. I'm sorry. I could ask one of my girls to help me try to do that. Is that something that I should try to do?
Yes, if you could.
Yeah, if you can, for the time being, just because we can't pull it up.
Okay. Hey, Wendy, can you come here for a second? Sorry. I wasn't ready for that question, but let me see what I can do.
Well, what I can do is we can go to the next applicant and then come back to you if that's more convenient.
Sure. Why don't we do that?
Okay, fine.
That's
So
great. Thank you,
we'll
Mr.
come
Chairman.
back to you at the end of the meeting, just before the end.
At the end of the next presentation,
Or I could do it at the end of the meeting, toward the end.
whichever is
How
better
much
for you,
time
Mr. Chairman.
Look, how much time will
Just a
you-
few minutes, just a few minutes to get the drawings up.
Well, then we'll do it after
Okay.
the next applicant then.
Sounds terrific.
That's good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next application, it's a site plan review, sign application. It's Starbucks, 2488 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton. Is the applicant available?
So that's the Pantone color
Okay, yeah.
for the sign, for the background, it looks like it.
Does the sign existing?
Yeah.
And they just want to change the color?
Here's the background.
Yeah, the background.
Yeah, Mr. Rump, is the applicant there?
I don't see, no, there's nobody coming up, Mr. Chairman.
Kevin's bringing him in.
Okay. Wait a minute, I think I see someone now
Yeah.
coming up.
Can you hear?
That's a big difference than what's in the picture.
Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I don't see any video of you, though.
Okay, can you see me now?
Yeah.
Right, yes.
Okay. Hi, I'm Judy.
Hi.
I'm
Well, you're the applicant.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm-
Ms. Keys is the lead board member on this application.
Okay.
And Ms. Keys, would you give the board your suggestions, comments, and decision on this application after the presentation?
Okay.
Would you proceed with the presentation?
Mhm.
Are you ready for me?
Yes.
Yes, right now.
Oh. Hi, I am Judy from Catapano Engineering and Architecture. We're here to, for a sign modification application. More or less, what we're doing is just repainting the existing word mark signs out there. They're currently black on the backing. We're gonna paint them dark green and replace the gooseneck lighting with new gooseneck lighting. There's a window sign also that is going to be replaced in kind in the same position. So it's more just to spruce it back up because the paint is faded and whatnot. And there's the fixtures, the light fixtures are a little old looking, so they're gonna put new gooseneck lighting right in the same place. We have it, a landmarks approval already to do that work. So we're just waiting to get your approval to get our sign permits.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Keys, comments?
I think that the green on the sign is not as dark and subtle as the green that we actually have here. And this is fine, I think. But it's very different.
Yeah.
Mike, the one that I have in my hand versus the image, just FYI. So yes, I think it's fine and I suggest approval.
Okay. Mr. Rump?
I have no issues, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Jankowski?
No issues.
Okay. Mr. Burke?
No issues.
Mr. Tagliavia?
No issues.
And Mr. Wright?
I'll follow the lead, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, and I follow the lead on this also. And this is an administrative review. I mean, and it's a sign application anyway, so we have to vote on it. Do I hear a motion to approve
Motion to approve
Second.
as submitted?
as submitted.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded to approve as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. It's carried.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and efforts. Have a good day.
You too?
Thanks, Judy.
Thank you. Is 20 Luther Drive available now?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, bear with
Yes.
me. We are trying to get these uploaded.
Here, chat,
Chat. Okay,
and this
this
right here,
here. Okay, good.
and I'll find it from there. Your computer, maybe?
Okay, sorry, bear with me for 2 more seconds and I will have this. Is it desk? Where is it?
I
Zoom?
don't know where you have it saved.
Well, it's just in here. Okay. Okay, Mr. Chairman, we are making headway.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry for the delay, folks. And open. All right, I have put them into the webinar chat.
I think I have them now, if you don't have them.
Do you have them?
Yeah.
Thanks, Kelly.
It wouldn't let me do it unless I was open as I am now into the meeting. So that's why
We have a
I
site
couldn't
plan
do it
too.
without being part of the meeting.
Yeah, I have it now. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Are you able to open them now?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
We got it.
Great. Sorry about that. Okay, so again, this is the lot adjacent to 8 Luther, which is in construction, and we're proposing a new dwelling. It's on 1.86 acres, and it's 9,160 square feet plus a 764 square foot 3-car garage attached. We also have a detached cabana that's 445 square feet, a pool, in-ground pool, and a tennis court that was reduced in size a bit to be a little more appropriate for the size of the lot with chamfered corners, but it's still a usable tennis court in the back. We did locate the house on the property so as to try to get as much sunlight, both morning and midday light, into the backyard, which is why the house is where it is on the property, and the garage lands on the north side, which is generally the preference for locating a garage, in my opinion, so as to not detract from daylight into the house. So the house has a good amount of morning light in the back and midday light on the pool, and then setting sun in the front of the house. So it'll have a finished basement, which has a small walkout area on the south side for egress and just being able to access the yard area. So the way that we develop the property, with the house located as it is on kind of an east-west axis, the right side towards the street, to the right of the pool, to the right of the house, becomes basically the backyard, the lawn area. We will have some plantings, some evergreen plantings. There's a lot of existing trees that we're maintaining on the property. There will be some evergreen screening to define the backyard. Again, that's more to the east and south of the house and the pool. We also have a single curb cut driveway, which has a spot for some parking in the front. And per the landscape plan, there will be some evergreen screening and a hedgerow to encompass the parking area, so that that's not going to be visible. Cars won't be visible for the neighbors, and we'll privatize headlights and kind of keep them on the property as well. There will be no lighting at the tennis court. It'll be, daytime use only, and any lighting that we have outside will be dark sky compliant. The house is going to be a shingle style. Effectively, we have a medium gray cedar shingle as per the renderings with a cedar roof. The trim and windows will all be white Marvin aluminum clad windows, simulated divided light, all AZAC or a version of AZAC trim, which is very durable and again will be all white. The gutters and leaders will be Galvalume, so it's got that lead-coated copper look for about a quarter of the price, I believe. And the terrace areas, there's a covered porch in the back. We'll all have a light-colored paver so it's easy on the feet, and a lot of glass in the house, as you might imagine, especially out towards the pool area in the back. The cabana is a slab on grade. There's no basement there, and it is a 10-bedroom house, which has 3 in the basement, 6 on the second floor, and a guest suite on the first floor. And I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Okay, yeah, I'm the lead on this application. My first question is, a flag went up when I saw the 10 bedrooms. And is this going to be used for a family, or what is going to be the use on this structure?
It'll be a single-family home. And as I'm sure you're all aware, there's, this is principally going to be used, I imagine, as a summer home. And as such, having guests and family members visiting, for long weekends is the intention of the number of bedrooms.
Right, okay, fine.
It will strictly be a single-family home, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
This is in Fordham.
Okay, one of the things I looked at can you put up the renderings?
Yeah.
Bear with me.
It's Fordham, the old Ford State.
Is that where it is?
Do you have them, or you want me to try to?
No,
grab
can
them?
you put them up?
Okay, yes, let me bear with me.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael can't see it because he's not here.
Okay.
I didn't think that.
Right, he can't see our screen.
Right. I got that one. He should be.
Yeah, so do
And shift.
Yeah, I see one of them, but I don't see it large. Mr. Rump, can you see the rendering?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm working on getting a few of them uploaded.
okay, fine.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Kelly, is there a landscape or planting plan that was referenced? Is that available?
There was a landscape plan that was submitted by Piscatelli Landscape Architecture.
Okay, Mr. Rump?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my comments are going to be based on, I wanted you to look at this landscape plan because being a 10-bedroom, is there going to be enough screening and would there be noise abatement?
Mhm.
I did upload a few of the renderings, which you should have access to. I could also upload the landscape plan if that's helpful, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, it would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you able to share your screen rather than drop them in the chat?
I do not know how to do that. I apologize. 26 landscape plan, 1211, 1211. I think this is the latest and greatest. Let's see.
Right. The other question I had, what's the house that they're originally building look like? I can't remember that. So it'd be nice to see what.
Are you able to see the landscape plan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
We can't see it though.
Oh, you cannot see it.
No.
All right. How do I share? Let me see in the Zoom meeting.
No, that's just the grading and drainage plan.
Should be a button at the bottom of this screen that says share screen.
And I'm looking at it on my screen. How do I share that with you folks is the question.
There's some icons at the bottom of the page, and it's one of them will say share screen.
Okay. Check. Video, audio. Copy invite link, participants. Or share. Let's see. Okay.
There you go.
How's that?
We've got it.
Yep.
All right, good. Sorry about that. First time I've done that, actually.
That's all right. We're all
Um,
learning.
Okay, so as you can see, the single curb cut, we have a courtyard opposite the main entrance, which will allow us to park 4 or 5 cars. There will be some hedgerow and evergreen screening for that motor court area. And to the left side, which is the abutting 8 Luther property, there will be staggered evergreen screening for the benefit of both 8 and 20 Luther. There's a fair amount of vegetation on what is the east side. There's some large trees that we're going to maintain and some evergreen screening that's already there. So that side is already nicely screened. And then the definition of the lawn area to the right will be, again, evergreen screening that wraps from the right side of the front of the house towards the street and then continues on the curve heading east to that existing vegetation on the east side of the property.
So,
Mr. Rump, would you mind commenting on
yeah,
like my comments of noise abatement, and is this going to be sufficient screening?
well, I have a question for Ron. It's so west of the hedge that's kind of defining that lawn area to the right
Yes.
along the property line. There's going to be no screening along the property line until that kind of northwest corner. Is that correct?
To the right of the curb cut before you get to the screening?
Yeah, if you go from the curb cut, either left or right.
Well, to the left, there'll be screening that defines and in cases the motor court area, or the courtyard as it's called in the landscape plan. And to the right, as you're approaching the house, there are a couple of trees that we're going to keep there, so you will still be able to see the house. But the privacy screening really defines the backyard area. That front lawn area will simply be open lawn, just so you could actually see the house as you're coming around the corner and recognize the driveway entrance.
So
I didn't want to
the
extend
existing
that
vegetation
all the way
that's
to the
there,
curb cut.
the existing vegetation that's there is not shown.
There's a few trees along that southerly edge that we would like to keep, and then the new screening would start from the right front corner of the house, heading west, and then heading south, and then heading east along the property line.
Right. So what I'm asking, Ron, is that so this plan does not show that existing vegetation.
It doesn't label it. I guess is the answer to your question. Yes, there are graphic symbols there for trees that are existing, but it doesn't label them.
I think just to be sure that they, what you're saying is correct, we should probably label what is existing and what is proposed. This is a pretty picture, but it really doesn't show us, what, I see the plant list, but it really doesn't show what's being planted. Is there a different plan?
No, unfortunately, this is what I was given by the landscape architect.
Okay.
And I would happily resubmit a landscape plan that correctly designates what's existing size and species and what's proposed size and species.
Yeah, if you could, we can, and there's no need to have another public hearing. If a detailed planting plan could be submitted that we can look at. And,
I'm sure I could take care of that in a matter of a couple of days.
Yeah,
Okay,
that'd be
fine. What we're going to do then is we will go through just the design of the residence, and you submit this to Mr. Rump, a new planting plan with the existing and the proposed. And it'll be up to Mr. Rump to give the final decision on this.
Okay.
And we can predicate it on that. Then doesn't necessitate you to come back.
That's fine. I will take care of that and I'll email it. I would imagine within the next few days, unless the landscape architect is away, but I don't think that he is. And I'll speak to him following our conversation today.
Okay, well, since I was the lead on this, I've looked at the design of the residence, and design-wise, I do not have a problem with it. And regarding design, I am favorable on approval. Mr. Rump, comments on the design only at this point?
I don't have an issue with the design of the residence. The only question I had, Mr. Chairman, is if the developer is doing a residence which is under construction next door, I don't remember what we approved for next door, and my hope is that it's not the same.
No, it's not.
No.
It's not. It's a more modern look, I guess, is the best way to put it, at 8 Luther. I could try to pull up a rendering, if that helps, of 8 Luther.
Yes, if you could.
Let's see.
Yeah, I think so.
It's a very different looking house. It does, I guess the only commonality is it has a cedar roof. The windows are bronze. The siding is a different gray, and it's got more of a, kind of 2-story glass walls. So it's a more modern look. I, for whatever reason, cannot pull up those files. Let me just see if I
Mr.
can-
Chairman, as long as, Ron says that, I'll believe him.
Yeah.
And that's just my concern, that we don't have a similar house next door to each other.
Right, yeah, I vaguely remember it now.
I don't.
As he's describing it. It is different, and I believe there is enough screening
Okay.
on the house next door, the one that's going to be under construction.
We pretty deliberately didn't want them to be matching. There's a number of interesting homes on the block, and the architecture varies, and we wanted to be consistent with that, and did not design this house to be at all looking like 8 Luther.
Okay.
Well, 8 Luther, from what I'm remembering now, does fit in the neighborhood because it's such a mixture of modern and traditional houses.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
And
Yes,
postmodern.
correct. That was the term that you used when we met a few months ago for 8 Luther.
Right.
Yes.
So, okay, Mr. Rump, any more further
Nothing more
comments?
from me. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Right, thank you, Mr. Rump. Mr. Jankowski, comments?
No, I don't have any issues. I'm going with the lead.
Okay, Mr. Brett, comments?
I don't have any comments.
Okay,
No.
Mr. Tagliavia, comments?
No issues.
I have
Okay,
a question.
Mr. Wright?
What is the height of the building?
The proposed height is 31 feet 10 inches.
Because it looks extraordinarily tall in the images. Is it over basic size?
Nope.
Did they?
No, maximum building height is 32 feet, so we're under the allowable.
It's just the view. Okay.
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
are under the allowable by a few inches.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I think it's the way the rendering was drawn.
All right. Thank you.
Very, very well could be, Mr. Chairman.
All right. No more questions.
No more, Ms. Keys? Mr. Tagliavia
No comments.
and Mr. Wright?
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve the residence, the design of the residence as submitted, predicated on the approval by Mr. Rump of the landscape plan?
All right, yep. So I'll make that motion, what you just said.
Okay, thank you. And do I hear a second on that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, and before we, because I forgot all this, is there any comments from the public on this residence? None. Therefore, the motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one. So it's passed
Thank you, folks.
predicated on
Thank
Mr.
you,
Rump, final approval on the landscape plan.
I will put that together and email it off, hopefully in the next few days.
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice to see everyone.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
The next is, we have a site plan review, Bridgehampton Commons and Target. Is the applicant available?
Yep, they're stepping up.
Coming up to the table, Mr. Chairman.
Great,
You
thank
can
you.
actually see him.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the office. How are you?
Great.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Just
Brian?
state your name and, yeah.
Brian Kennedy, partner with Forcelli Deegan Tarana. On behalf of the applicant, present with me is Ken McQuaid, in-house architect with Target, and Alex Holloman, project engineer from Bowler Engineering. As the call of the
Okay.
meeting indicates, we are before the board this morning looking to occupy the former Kmart space at Bridgehampton Commons. It's approximately 91,000 square feet. As part of that occupancy, there will be some fairly significant upgrades to the facade. Additionally, the applicant's proposing the addition of 2 cart corrals throughout the additional
In the parking area?
Correct. That will trigger a minor parking variance. At the rear of the site, we're proposing some additional loading docks. But at this point, I'm going to...
Some loading dock work.
Loading dock improvements, I apologize. At this point, I'm going to ask Ken to,
Don't go there.
Ken to speak quickly to the proposed facade upgrades.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for having us. We're very excited to be here and be part of your community. I'm sure you're all familiar with the existing building. It's basically has the front vestibule of the current Kmart, and then everything else on the front wall is either brick or corrugated CNU from the original construction. And then there's a kind of a fan glazed window element up in the gable there where the existing Kmart sign is. So those are kind of the 2 areas we really wanted to address in the design. I mean, the shopping center has a very consistent design, so we didn't want to, obviously do anything crazy. But the first element, the gable element, we were proposing adding some gray siding to match the rest of the center and cover up the existing glazing, which you can't see through anyway. The main issue is our logo wants to tuck up in that half circle, and then it ends up looking kind of like the Japanese flag, like it's this weird, there's this red dot with this kind of fan blade thing coming around it. And if you don't put the sign up there, it looks like it wants to be up there, but it just looks kind of strange. So covering that up and putting in the gray siding really allows us to get our full kind of the lockup, the horizontal lockup, and then we can get the gooseneck lighting over the top of it. And it also just kind of refreshes the exterior look a little bit and shows the public that there's something new going on. And then the biggest change is you can see about 3/4 of the front we're proposing to eliminate the corrugated block and add glazing, floor to ceiling glazing. So, and that's where our check lanes and Starbucks will be. So very vibrant and open. It's not like we're going to put a bunch of shelves up against it or anything. So really adds a lot to the vibrancy and visibility to the center, and light on that front sidewalk because it's covered right now. It can be kind of dark. So adding all the glazing along the front will really help. And then we're expanding the vestibule. So I don't know if you've been to a lot of Targets, but we'd like to have an in and an out kind of vestibule with curtains in the middle. So right now it's just the single vestibule. So those first couple of bays will be the vestibule area. Otherwise, the brick and the the siding and the shingles will all stay the same, and then we'll probably paint the back just to freshen it up on the back side. But that would be the extent of the exterior improvements.
Okay, is that complete your presentation?
Yes.
Unless the board has
Okay.
some questions.
Yeah, Ms. Keys is the lead board member on this application. Would you give the board your comments and decision on this?
I just said, so you have 2 more doors, so there's 4 doors throughout instead of 2. I think it looks great, and the sign is not going to be red; it's white.
Yes.
Oh, I think that looks really pretty.
Yeah, it seems like the white and the gray went better with
Yeah,
the
I
rest of
think
the
I
shopping
agree
center.
with you.
Yeah.
100%. Thank you very much. I think it looks great, and I love the presentation.
Oh, great. Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Rump, comments?
I have no issues, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I agree with the lead.
Mr. Jankowski?
Where we put
Comment?
the car corral, is it going to be outside or is it inside your vestibule?
No, in the parking
In the
lot.
parking lot. We'll have to eliminate approximately 4 stalls.
Oh, okay.
At that point, which will trigger an additional
that's what
parking
we'll do?
variance. Yes,
Okay.
that's exactly.
Yep, no issues. Looks good. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Burke, comments?
No issues.
Mr. Tagliavia, comments?
I agree with the lead.
Okay, Mr. Wright, comments?
All good.
Okay, and I agree with the lead on this. Since this is a planning board referral, a transmittal letter will be sent to the planning board with the board's findings. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you. Good luck.
Yeah, thank
Glad
you.
you guys are coming in.
Yeah, you bet.
Help the community a lot.
Yeah, have a great day.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Good luck.
Thank
you.
Oh, and a lemon.
Kimco is present. So
Yep.
Okay, next on the agenda, Ingvar
It's
Charlie
probably part of the
LLC.
file, so we should.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And at 7282 and 86S Country Road, Quayog. Is the applicant available?
Yes, they just approached the
They're in person again.
table.
This is 2 in a row.
I wanted to see what the best looking board looked like.
Oh, starting ready. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Jankowski is the lead board member on this application.
So good morning, board members. Wayne Berlin, O'Shea, Marcinsick and Berlin on behalf of the Hangar Charlie LLC. I'm going to give a couple handouts that will supplement what you've already received. I see you have our full set of plans here, but Ryan Kestner, who's our record architect, is going to walk you through with some of the boards that has the same documents. Just to give you some background, this property is an approximately 32-acre parcel of land consisting of 3 tax parcels, 3 street addresses, and we're located on the northerly side of Old Country Road in the hamlet of Quayog. To our north is the Long Island Railroad, and immediately to the north is the Suffolk County Airport. This is an aerial photograph of the property. To our west is an industrial use, presently operated by Chesterfield Associates. That is this activity here. And to our east is an auto junkyard. And then to the northeast is a former landfill of the town of Southampton. A little further to the east is a residential subdivision and another Village of West Hampton Beach property, which you probably heard about, where they're trying to do a solar array on that. To the west is Peters Lane and some residential uses. The underlying zoning is CR 40. However, the town board in the 90s, on their own motion, created the Quayog West Tourism Recreation Plan Development District. And that, and they also created one in the east, which encompasses the large area where, among other things, the Suffolk County Water Authority has a well field. Those PDDs were established in recognition of the existing uses, and we're trying to promote recreational uses, but more importantly, the cleanup of the properties. Because of the past industrial uses and actually current ongoing industrial uses, the town thought, this being PDDs being incentive zoning, that there should be an incentive for a developer to have some flexibility in uses of the property, provided there is a cleanup. And we are presently undertaking the necessary environmental remediation plans, which are being reviewed by the DEC because of the impacts that were occurring. You can see the part primarily on the north part where there was sand mining taking place, but there was certain types of debris and metals that were dumped on the property years ago. We're confident that the DEC, they're not as significant as a, let's say, the North Sea landfill kind of issue. So we believe we can develop this. Our clients are one of the premier car club recreational uses in the country. They have facilities, and Ryan can describe those, currently built in Florida. And what they're looking for, a car club, is an activity where people with a hobby, more than a hobby, a real keen interest in cars, collecting cars, older cars, new cars, luxury cars, and they need a place to store them and actually and share their affection of these cars with other people like mine. And this is something you may be familiar with. There's a lot of literature. There is a website if you want to go there. But so we approached the planning board and the town building inspector and examined the underlying recreational tourism PDD, and we inquired, and they did determine that this car club facility would qualify as a recreational use. That being said, the building inspector suggested, among other things, that because it's not unlike the private golf course, that there might be some recreational opportunities on this property for the public. And there was a suggestion that we consider pickleball courts dedicated to the town. So we submitted a site plan application to the planning board, and it had our car club facility on the north. And this is the same aerial with our plan overlaid. And this would be the Clark Car Club facility. But we had in this corner an area that would have been dedicated for pickleball courts. Through the planning board review, however, and we got input that pickleball, despite its popularity in one or two facilities, SYS and Red Creek being the two public facilities, that may not be what the town desires. Rather, they came back and strongly recommended we consider a dog park. So our final plans, we put together a plan for a dog park down in this area that the town board members have, we met with informally, and they're believing that will be more appropriate. The developer will construct and do whatever is necessary, parking and facilities, whatever the town is going to direct us with the dog park and that. We're not asking for your review, but if you want to, you can mention that. We're here today because we did have a pre-application report, which I included a copy. You can review it. But with respect to the architecture, the planning board had some general comments. They said, well, the underlying zoning is residential, and there is residential in the neighborhood. Could you consider doing certain things to maybe tone down or make it look a little less industrial than it is? Even though we're 1,500 feet off of Old Country Road, the general public won't see it. We have these ongoing industrial uses that don't look like there's going to be any slowdown in them disappearing soon. And we are adjacent to the county airport, which you'll hear is part of an inspiration as to the architectural style that we're looking at. And in particular, this West Hampton Beach DPW buildings are immediately to our north. So with that, there is a general site plan, but you'll see that this facility is something that is, its inspiration were the existing facilities in Florida. Our clients are residents of Southampton town, and they presently store their cars haphazardly in many different places, old potato barns and the like. This would be basically conditioned space. There'll be a number of units where you could buy your unit and basically store your cars and other materials as you may want. And there is a lounge area where the members would be able to congregate and share their stories and whatever their pride about their vehicles. So I'll let Ryan take over on the architecture. What we're looking for is your preliminary input, any suggestions you have before we put together a final application to the planning board. And they will, of course, at that time also refer it to you formally for their response, and I really appreciate you, giving us this opportunity to meet with you and get the inputs. And I don't know if, Mr. Chairman, can you see any of the boards? We'll try to, I don't know if, I think we emailed all the documents.
Yeah, I have them up here. I don't know.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so,
Can you share your screen? Is there a way to do that?
with Michael.
Mr. Chairman, have you seen the architecture and the renderings that Ryan has prepared?
Yeah, I'm looking at them now, but they're really small.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to rely on the rest of the board
Okay.
on this.
Morning, board members.
Good morning.
Nice to see you. As Wayne said, this is the premier car condo company in America. The inspiration behind the design is high-end airplane hangars and F1 hangars and stuff like that. This is an inward activity facility. So in other words, anybody that's doing anything on their car, showing it off, washing it, doing whatever, is not going to be in public sight at all. It is completely screened. All the activities are to the inside of the building. This is actually where you would drive up. It's a circle area here if you want to back out, and you go in there. All the doors are facing inside. You can't see anything that's going on there. There's no like auto repair shop, nothing like that. Nothing going crazy. No chemicals, no whatever, and all the other good stuff. With regards to the design, it is a precast concrete panel. And what they do is they just go and they score the lines in there. The drawings are a little bit busier than what you would actually wind up seeing. This is more accurate to what would actually wind up being built right now. So, we originally, if you go through your packet in there, you can see the ones that are in Florida, and you'll see like a lot of red on there and stuff like that. So what we opted to do is go with grays instead, tone it down a little bit, make it not. Yeah, it's as built. Yes, yeah, it's a little bit too like in your face kind of deal.
I can check that out.
So we went with grays and off whites and things of that nature. We also were required to break the massing of the building a little bit by the planning board, which we did do, and we still came out with a beautiful product. And also we have different recesses and things of that nature to kind of break it up.
Can I ask you a question here? I'm sorry to interrupt, but is this, so these more grander recesses are not on here, or they're on there?
No, they're on here.
Okay.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Sure.
We opted to break it up with different colors and stuff like that because it's a big white building. It's overwhelming. It doesn't look right. It's no good. So we break it up with different colors and different patterns with concrete. Again, keep in mind, this is 1,500 feet. I mean, that's what, 5 football fields? I mean, a giraffe can't see this thing from the road. So we have some aerials here. And again, this is really for really high-class cars, things like that. You're talking Lamborghinis, Model Ts. I mean, this is not like going to promote anything egregious and all that other good stuff. We've made every effort to accompany everybody's comments and adhere to everything.
Okay, does that conclude your presentation?
Do you have anything else you'd like to add, sir?
No,
Yes, sir.
I think one of the things we did originally was to look at what recreational buildings were out there. You think of immediately SYS. It's a recreational building and it's off the road and you can't see it, but we immediately didn't like that inspiration, basically Morton Buildings. So we also more closer to this facility in East Quogue is the Sport Time recreational facilities. And if you're familiar with that, we also looked at the Southampton Airport. I think one of the things in here was what's the name of the facility that
There's a car club that's in there.
Oh, yeah, Rally Point.
Yep.
Yeah,
Rally
Rally
Point.
Point. This is way above Rally Point. This is,
In fact, one or two planning board members suggested that we look at that. We did, but I think you can see that this is, we believe, a step above that as far as the quality. So
this is also all self-contained on its own site. Rally Point, you got the parking out there. I don't know if you guys have ever been to an event, but this is much different. This is all self-contained. It's not really open to the public per se. If they do have something, it's for the members only, things of that nature. Also, keep in mind, we have Chesterfield on one side. They do foundations and piles, and I mean, that's going to look like a war zone until whenever. And then you got the junkyard on the other side. So we are doing everything we can to beautify the surrounding area along the way. And I do believe that this absolutely fits with that context.
Okay, Mr. Jankowski, comments?
All right, yep, so this is my area, right, West Hampton, like where we are. So familiar with the site, familiar with the road, where we're going. They laid it out exactly, J&V on one side, Chesterfield on the other. We're not even near any of the housing. They have to make it look good because of the clients that they're gonna be coming into this, they're not haphazard by any means. So of course you're gonna make it look good. If we get the dog park in the front of it, we're not even still gonna be able to see where this is in the back. It's gonna be fenced, it's gonna be gated. We're talking, lots of high-end equipment that's gonna be going in there. I kind of like how you did the, I like the changes. I like what you did. We're never gonna see it. You toned it down, so that's good because you have the airport, so I'm sure you had all your height restrictions and whatnot, so you took all those into consideration. I did see the little, playroom, I guess, thing that you had there, and that's when I got confused on what this was, because I didn't see all the doors. Then all of a sudden I didn't know what we were doing, but I kind of see you did lofts on the inside too. I know that has nothing to do with us, but like some of these similar things we have, or we had the ability in the hangars in the airport, if you got in early enough, like 15 years ago, where you could have a spot to put your cars and then have a hangout. So you have the clients live in the area. I think you did the best you can, and cleaning up the area, that's there. So for someone that drives past that 14 times a day, I recommend approval.
before we go, I just wanted one element we both failed to mention. The town board in the legislation actually requires us to maintain 100 feet of natural buffer along Old Country Road, as well as 60 feet on all the property lines.
Yeah, that's why you bumped everything in,
Yes.
even though you're up against the
And
industrial.
it's not just
You're not
a-
even on Deborah, and you're not even on Peters.
Exactly, and it's not just
Are you going?
a
Is yours
setback,
also
it's a
to-
buffer.
Are you? Is that your property up there too?
No, that's
It's
the
not.
town.
So yeah, all right.
That's the
How are
town.
they going to be able to access that? Is that through
They get
J&B?
access, I don't know how they get access.
All right, fair enough. I don't either.
Yeah, and it's all self-contained, the drainage and everything. So
For you.
Yeah.
Some of the comments.
You'll put in all your own stuff.
Yeah.
We had a couple comments that, people are anxious to have something done on the property because there's so many kids with recreational vehicles and dirt bikes that are constantly using the property, so.
Okay, Mr. Rump, comments?
I have no comments. I agree with the lead.
Okay, thank you. On this, Mr. Burke, comments?
No comments on the design. I think it's a cool concept, and I like drawing from the airport, and it's cool. It looks really good. The public part, I know that's way out of our purview. I'm interested in how that'll shape out. I'm glad pickleball's gone.
Everybody hates pickleball.
Everybody hates the noise.
The noise.
Yeah, the noise. I'm curious if tennis was bought up or basketball courts or what, but
All the above.
it's all the above.
We
yeah.
sort of said, what do you to various
I
people
like
in
the
the
dog
town,
park. I think
whatever,
that's-
and,
It's a good use.
pickleball was the first choice because it was like, rather than have a pickleball in everybody's backyard,
Sure.
have the public place where you could design and try to mitigate, and it's a little farther from the residential areas. But nonetheless, the comments we received is, let's not do pickleball, but we need a dog park. So,
Yeah,
Okay.
just to add on to that, because of the construction that's going on in the village of West Hampton Beach, which is still kind of our purview, you see all the condos and stuff that are coming up. You kind of do need a yard for the dogs to run around. So
Interesting.
I think that one does fit what's going on in the process in West Ham.
Cool. Yeah, design
Okay.
is cool though.
Ms. Keys, comments?
I'm wondering, I have just odd questions, but what is this piece?
That is part of their, branding is what they do. And it's a prefab piece that they go and they put on there. So
It's branding, it's kind of consistent to
Yeah.
all of their things.
consistent to everything.
Well, they call it a hangar, right?
Hangar.
Doesn't
Right.
it look like it's like an airport
Mhm.
tower?
Yeah.
Also, on the roofs, is it necessary? Are you trying to have them gray and white like that for the planes to see? I'm just curious at why they're different colors.
Well, I mean, that'll be based on whatever installation that we wind up putting up there.
Oh,
Right.
so you don't have it
It
direct.
could be white. It could possibly be white. If that's what's required, then that's absolutely what we will do. That's really, I believe that's inconsequential. I mean, unless you're a bird.
It's non-reflective is all that matters.
Yeah, no, it's no, you can't
Well,
put
that
anything
was my
reflective
next
up there.
question. It's just that it's non-reflective on the
Yeah.
roof.
It's not reflective.
Except another element, the planning board is constantly looking for us to incorporate energy savings, and
Right.
there's a suggestion that we have solar on the top.
That'd be
so-
great.
Yeah, the energy efficiency would be.
Okay, then I go with the lead. Those are my two tire kick.
Okay, Mr. Tagliavia, comments?
So this was from a facility down in Florida you had mentioned?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, I'm just glad that you did, redesign based on the surrounding and our local aesthetic. I think this doesn't fit as well, so
Red.
comments on,
Yeah, the red is
on the
really.
design. I have no other issues.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wright, comments?
I have no comment.
Okay, and I'm going with the lead for the area on this. That's going to be my comments. Is this strictly a preliminary on this, or do you, is this a final?
No, this
Uh,
is
referral from the planning
strictly
board.
preliminary. Like I said, what will happen now is we'll take into account your comments if there's anything further, but our next step is to submit a final application to the planning board, who will make a formal referral to you again.
Right.
So you will have
Right.
a formal response. If anything, if you could make a note in your minutes, or if you do send letters similar to your referrals, that would be helpful. But for the planning board to know that you did have this preliminary review would be helpful. We're going to represent
Right,
what
well,
you've asked.
that's what we'll do. We'll
Exactly.
send a
So they'll
preliminary
get a letter.
transmittal letter.
Perfect. That's how that works.
Perfect.
All right, great. And then just real quick, do we all agree that we like the idea of the dog park?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll
We
put
got
that in the
dogs.
notes then too, okay?
Thank you.
Not a good dog park.
So, okay, a transmittal letter will be sent, a preliminary, and it'll be preliminary in nature, sent to the planning board regarding this board's comments. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thanks for
All right, thanks,
coming.
guys.
Good
Thank
to
you.
see you, Ryan.
Thank you. Good luck.
Oh, you got it. I should have stood up.
Thank you.
Have a good day, Counselor.
I'm here for the next one too.
You are? I have to go. Yeah, you gotta move over there.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
He's my representative.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Rump, you're recusing yourself?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am.
Thank
We
you
still
very
have a
much.
quorum.
We still have a quorum.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Jankowski. Next is a Lewis Road, PRD, 65 Lewis Road, East Quad. Is the applicant here and
Yes.
available?
Yes, in person again.
Okay,
we also
and
have
Mr.
someone-
Jankowski is the lead on
All right,
this.
and I think we might have a Zoom too, Kev.
Yeah.
Teddy McCarthy, Hart Howerton.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Nice to see you all again. Teddy McCarthy with Hart Howerton, joined obviously with Lars Fitter at the table.
And Wayne Bruin. I don't know if you can see Wayne here next to me.
Yes.
Excellent. Can everybody, is this sharing? Doesn't seem like it
Yeah, it
is.
looks
I
it
think.
steady. We
Yeah,
can
we
see
can
it.
see it.
Oh, excellent. Perfect. Stop doing that. Good. Now, just good afternoon, everybody, at noon. Nice to see you all again. Thanks for having us back and taking the time to meet with us and walk through some of these updates here. So there's a fairly sizable package that's been submitted to the board. Happy to go through at whatever level of detail everyone would like to go through. Ultimately, what we're here today to focus on are some modifications to the amenity structures at Lewis Road PRD, and how we've effectively shifted some of the square footage around, so that ultimately the overall impact to the scale of what we're trying to accomplish here is consistent. But as the project has continued to evolve and we've contemplated how it's going to be used by the homeowners there, and getting some feedback, we have gone about making some changes to the locations of various square footages. So there's a number of different documents available within this presentation. I think perhaps the most fruitful one for the purposes of an overall summary is this one, which identifies, albeit perhaps in a small screen for those that are trying to look at a television from afar, a series of proposed modifications that outline how we've taken certain aspects of the original site plan, and shifted them to various other locations. And so if we are to kind of walk through this at a high level, we have a clubhouse core that still remains very much intact, and that structure is fairly consistent. I'd say very consistent to what you all have seen before. We had a pond house structure that was previously reviewed and approved by this group that we are no longer pursuing with a small amount of square footage. However, we have proposed a new structure located to support the driving range, which we're referring to as the windmill comfort station, effectively taking its place. So that square footage is being shifted to that new location. We still maintain our two small comfort stations out on the golf course, which are identified to the far left as the trail house and the far right as the farm stand. There's been minor relocations and alterations to the areas there, which we also describe in summary on a subsequent table. And then we have the gatehouse, which is a minor increase in the building area and lot area, and minor changes to those elevations, again taking advantage of shifting and moving some of the square footage around. And then perhaps the more significant shift is the removal of what was identified as a pool bar behind the clubhouse. That building has been removed, and that space has been reallocated to the field house, which was a previous structure, which we have found is beneficial for us to increase that structure to support some of the other square footage that were previously located at the clubhouse. So an enormous amount of time, energy, and focus by our team and the Collective Hills team to ensure that we are trying to maintain very close square footages, scales, materiality across all of these structures, even the ones that are being newly introduced. And we've identified on subsequent pages exactly how all of these shifts and moves have sort of reallocated themselves. So in total, there is a less than 1,000 square foot increase to the total interior space. That's that 885 square foot value that you see at the bottom of the upper left-hand table, which represents a 1.4% increase across the entire site for all of these structures. A 430 square foot increase, excuse me, to the overall lot coverage, again, significantly less than 1,000 square feet, which is in that upper right-hand area, which is a 0.9% increase to the total plan. And then the basement floor area has a slight delta as well at 343. So all of this was in an effort to, keep this, as consistent as possible to what was previously indicated. As we look further into some of the specifics of the overall impact, obviously vertical construction and the architecture is a big focus of this board. However, the overall impact on the site and the coverage of the site is also very important to us as an organization and as a development partner. So the total delta here actually significantly reduces the overall hardscape being used across the site. So there's actually a 23,000 square foot reduction in hardscape when you qualify everything from concrete, pools, decks, sports courts, and so forth, and even some of the the minor sort of pavilions. So ultimately, that grossly outweighs the slight reductions in the square footage. Slight increases in the square footage indicated on the prior page. So the way we've organized this, and we can kind of quickly flip through this, is we've tried to identify and plan those proposed modifications, prior locations of pools, new locations of pools, so kind of an overlay between what was previously approved, which are the dash lines, and the now in the black and white, the current proposed site plan. So you can see the pools have changed significantly, but are generally still in the same area. That pool bar building has been removed, and as we've worked through the clubhouse structures, which are identified kind of as a series of structures here, we felt it beneficial to rotate out that pro shop, given the location and the proximity to the golf course and the orientations there. Ultimately, that the general look and feel of this structure is, I believe, quite consistent between the approved site plan and where we are today. That extends further into the conversations around the field house. In terms of the approved sports court locations and the approved building locations. This was a smaller structure before. We are really trying to use some of those reductions and the removal altogether of the structure to increase the square footage of this building. It's just frankly more efficient to keep these together. Keeps kind of staff in one place, helps really operate this place more efficiently. And you can see that again, site plan approved versus site plan proposed there. There are then, through the next 40 or so pages here, we've included the previously approved plans and the proposed plans for each of these areas. Some key factors here, there was in the lower level of the clubhouse some program space. That program is now being moved to the field house. There was a kids club or kids area here. Now we have all parking below there as well as support spaces. As we move up into the spaces on the main level of this structure, the approved plan and the proposed plan, obviously just things have gotten much more detailed in terms of how these two plans are operating, but effectively they're still doing the same things. There's a restaurant, there is the locker and locker support spaces, and there's the fitness components, and that's still consistent between the previously approved and the currently proposed plan. And then finally, the second level plans, these are the individual residential units up here. Again, really kind of focus on some of the details here, but the overarching organization of this space and the intended use are consistent. And we think that is most notably recognized through the elevations. So we have the approved south elevation on the top of this page. We have the proposed south elevation on the lower section of this page. We've done a lot of work to refine the detailing of these buildings to focus in on what we believe is kind of a high high traditional shingle style architecture to the clubhouse itself, with these larger glazed openings that feel more appropriate these days as folks want more light and air into their spaces. But ultimately, that the scale and the feel of these buildings are very consistent between where they were and where they are. And similarly, as we look to the north elevation, which is facing out to the Gulf, development, of course, but consistency in terms of the look and feel of the architecture. There was a fairly notable change with the inclusion of this octagonal porch, which was previously returning to a chimney structure. We removed that chimney, added a small cupola, and created an octagonal porch that can be screened. Just to, one, it I think bookends the architecture quite nicely, but then ultimately it also allowed for a more functional space for the extension of that dining area. And we can continue to run through these by elevation. This is also, I believe, hopefully in each of the board members' hands as well. For the purposes of how the structures are organized, the pro shop, which is located adjacent to the clubhouse, is separated in this, so that we're consistently showing it separated, albeit on that site plan, you'll notice that those buildings are read almost like a continuation of each other. So we've broken that pro shop out. Again, approved is on the left, proposed is on the right. Really just refinement, working in some of those porches, those lower shed roofs, to help reduce the overall feel and volume of the building as viewed from the outside, and further development of the small unit above the pro shop itself. And again, approved on these smaller structures, we're able to show these side by side. So the approved elevation's on the left, proposed elevation is on the right. And similarly, as we've developed here, left and right, with same materiality, same consistency of windows. We're playing with some of the refinement of the trim details, bringing in some panel language at the dormers, identifying areas for some decorative wood louvers that are also functional in that they have some concealed mechanical components behind them, but still maintaining the brick water table, the cedar shingle sidewalls, as well as roof. We do have aluminum clad windows and doors that are white on the outside, and that brick comes back in with some of the chimneys as well. So as we shift over now, we're on the whole other side of the site. The field house was previously denoted as a porched grill structure. We've taken that pool bar, removed its square footage, brought it over here, taken some of the kids club components, and really trying to take advantage of, we have some grade change existing on the site as well, to bring all those more sort of casual amenities together into this one structure. So we have expanded this upper floor to include more interior dining. We have a kitchen that's been expanded to help service the pool area as well. And then below this, really in the basement, it's tucked into the grade on three sides. We've brought that kids club programming that was previously at the clubhouse over here to this structure. This kitchen supports the pool area as well as the additional smaller kitchen above, and then everything else on this floor is really kind of a kid's dream. There's a game room area to play games, and two small bowling lanes, as well as restrooms that help support the pool area as well. So obviously this was a smaller structure before, but we've tried really hard to maintain a sense of scale in terms of how we've moved from the approved elevations into these proposed elevations, and it's really just on that one elevation where you see the lower level that you start to understand that this is a larger structure. So that's that west proposed elevation, which is tucked into the ground there, while all the other elevations are trying to maintain a single story look and feel to it, with just the bringing in of those dormer windows to bring some light into the upper shaped ceiling of that space. The materiality of all of these secondary structures has been somewhat different intentionally from the clubhouse, with the intent that the clubhouse was a more classical, traditional shingle style architecture, and these secondary structures took on more of the agricultural look and feel of some of the surrounding farms, using a more rustic board siding, still maintaining, in this case, the shingle roof. We do have some metal roof that have come in some other areas, and really just trying to create more of a natural look and feel to the trim language and the overall feel of these buildings, as opposed to the slightly more buttoned up feel of the clubhouse and the gatehouse. The gatehouse itself has maintained a very consistent size, look, feel. Ultimately, the biggest change to the gatehouse is that we've removed the cupola structure. One, it was causing us some challenges structurally that ultimately we felt were not really paying off. And two, from a scale perspective, we are trying to tuck this building kind of into some existing trees, and we felt that you weren't really ever getting the benefit of that cupola in terms of how you were approaching it. And so we've removed that and drastically simplified the outdoor fireplace, which previously had kind of a unique architecture, but one that we felt was a little less consistent with the traditional shingle style architecture that we were trying to propose. So the language of this building still very much consistent with the overall massing and materiality, but takes on perhaps a slightly simpler language. And then as we get into the trail house and the farmhouse, these are these smaller structures that exist on the golf course. We've, I think, also done a good job to try to simplify a bit. We had a continuous porch that was creating this lower shed roof previously in the approved elevations. The new proposed elevations have a simple gable with a one-sided shed roof on it, reducing that sort of impact a little bit, letting this nestle into the Pine Barrens a bit more easily, but still effectively getting the small amount of program of which these buildings require. And then you can see that from the other elevation, smaller kind of vertical footprint. And then on the farm stand side, this structure also abandoned the sort of wraparound porch in favor of a trellis on one side, as well as a small bracketed shed roof on the opposite side. We took the use of this simple gable and actually reintroduced a simplified version of the cupola that we had lost on the gatehouse over on this building, just so it had a sort of its own character that we thought was appropriate. These buildings, both the farm stand and the trail house, do maintain the metal roof. It's rendered slightly differently just because we think this is more consistent with what it actually will look like. It was a little bit dark in those original renderings. These are kind of a mid-tone standing seam aluminum, which are actually already in use on a number of the residential homes that are already being built. And then finally seeing that from the opposite direction there. This just gets into a small service area adjacent to the field house, which was effectively its own, because it didn't exist previously. We wanted to make sure that that was addressed and discussed with the group. It has a very simple cedar vertical plank fence that we intend to either use the reclaimed material or apply a wash to it, so it has that sort of gray, bleached out, rustic look to it. And finally, the tennis house. I appreciate everyone bearing with me here. There's a lot of buildings. This also is intended to be very consistent in scale to what it was previously, but we've reduced the amount of storage and scale of the small area to be able to walk in and grab a water in favor of a slightly more robust restroom area, just because that is on the south side of those pools. We do expect some traffic down from the kids area and pool area. So we've created a slightly more robust men's and women's restroom with some outdoor showers here, but they all sort of tuck within this lower wraparound roof. So the language of the architecture is pretty consistent here, but we do have these sort of infill boards that help provide some privacy in those outdoor shower areas. And then finally is a new building that we are proposing in lieu of the previous pond house. This one is going to be much more functional for the group in terms of creating a small comfort station and grab and go area and restrooms for use on the driving range, which isn't, unlike many clubs, directly adjacent to the clubhouse. So this allows for somebody, even just to be able to go to the bathroom or pick up teeing off on the golf course to be able to come to this building, which is more closely proximate to the start of the golf. And in this instance, we did take a different approach that we thought was actually pretty interesting and certainly consistent with the language of the East End of Long Island that I grew up with, that I'm certainly excited by exploring and introducing the potential of a windmill here at this location. So we're still working through the nuance of how the actual functionality of this could work, but we loved the iconography of it, and speaking back to the historic windmills that not only are about to grace West Hampton Beach again, where my family's been for many years, but of course are used at national golf links and many other locations as historic beacons that not only are, I think, pretty special, but also kind of tell a story and allow someone to talk about a place that's where we meet, or that's where we come together as a family or friends, as a meeting point across the site. So a lot to digest there. So appreciate everyone bearing with me. Happy to take questions and talk about it.
Okay, well, first of all, Mr. Jankowski's the lead on this area. And Mr. Jankowski, comments?
Before you go, if you want, I don't know if the board members were able to follow everything so quickly, but this little booklet, I thought that everybody would have had one. But just what...
No. I get it.
What was described, this is the railroad and the project going north, and this is the main area of the clubhouse. And what was described is, it was very important. The planners advised us that if we were going to make modifications to utilize the existing floor area and spaces that are already there. So as was discussed, the pool bar building was, and the activities were modified and moved over and incorporated into the field house where the recreational facilities are. And each of these, other than the last described comfort station, what was one located at the pond was being relocated closer to the driving range in the first tee. So there are the major modifications, and this is pending site plan approval, administrative site plan approval. So we are looking for your input as to all these changes. I know it may be overwhelming, but we're certainly here to hear your input and questions.
All right, good. Teddy.
Yeah, Mr.
Excellent.
Jankowski, I'm going to make a comment
Go ahead.
on this. With that many buildings, I think this should have been broken up into separate, reviews. Are you okay with the way that it was presented?
Yeah, that's actually what I was just going to tell Teddy. I thought he did an excellent presentation again. It's simple to follow. I get what he was doing, all the work that he put into showing the square footages where we made changes, we moved. I mean, this project's been going on for, I don't know, 8 years when you have an original design, and then they realize when they're on the site that you have to maybe make some changes and whatnot, and they're actually coming to us and showing us some of these changes that we're never going to probably see with our eyes. The only thing we are going to see is that gatehouse. So no, I'm fine with the way he presented everything. They even showed us the interiors, which he doesn't have to. So I'm fine with it, and I'll explain it to everyone else. So it's kind of like what I was on my way to saying. You took into consideration, like, we have the site, we're in the middle of doing it. Hey, this makes a little bit more sense. You're coming back to us, you're showing it. We're doing the best we can as far as the square footages and whatnot go. This makes more sense if we move this here and there. The changes are consistent on the property. I've walked the property 3 times. They have the, what's the mock-up? Like, it had like a nickname. Anyway, you can see all, yeah, it's the one that had like all of the sidings and everything. Like, you could see it that they built, so you can see all the materials and stuff that they're using. I like the way you changed some of the lines, Teddy, too, on the building that I'll never see, but I think those look, you can see like what you were doing on some of those, like the tone downs and the whatnots. Out front, again, the gatehouse, the comfort stations, just kind of like minimize, and then, you cut all of these things to add that one building that's just going to make more sense. And I think the windmill's iconic, especially when we think of golf courses and just our area out here. So I hope you can figure out how to make that work, because I think that's going to look pretty cool.
Yeah, we're engaging with some groups locally that have experience. Obviously, there are a number of windmills locally that have been restored. So we're bringing in some groups locally and talking to some groups internationally that in Europe that do this quite often. So we're committed to doing something special there. I think I appreciate the comments very, very much, Ted, and I think our goal is to continue to refine great architecture, and appreciate that the group doesn't see it, but we do want to be transparent with the board, and we do want to show that we are committed to an architecture that's consistent with the town.
Yeah, and you are. So those are my comments, at least from my seat in our area.
Okay, Ms. Keyes, comments?
It looks like the fact that you've taken down 23,000 square feet, is that what you're saying, of hardscaping?
That's correct. Across the property, we've removed 23,000 square feet of hard lot coverage. Coverage.
That sounds good, considering it's endangered pine barren. So that makes sense to me. So thank you.
Great.
Okay, comments, Mr. Burke?
I agree 100% with Ted.
Okay, Mr. Tagliavia, comments?
Yeah, I think the modifications made were improvements from the previously approved. I agree with Ted in that regard. I just wanted to make sure that the metal roofs, you had mentioned that there are existing structures and you're utilizing the same non-reflective materials, correct?
That's correct, yep. It will be the same metal that's being used right now on the homes and was approved by this board.
Great. Just like Ted had mentioned, we definitely appreciate the transparency and coming back to the board with this. And then also the windmill. I also love that. And it's fitting to Long Island, and the windmill that they're restoring and putting up right at the circle in West Hampton Town. I think it's perfect and it's fitting. So I agree with the lead.
Okay, Mr. Wright, comments?
I have no comments. I agree with the lead. I think the modification is right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think that all of the designs on the proposed are much better than the ones that were originally approved. I think they've got a better line and design throughout.
Great.
And there's more harmony throughout all of these structures now, which there wasn't before, which was a problem that I had when we first viewed the original. So I'm going with the lead on it, and I think it is a vast improvement on it. Okay, this is an administrative review. Therefore, it requires us to vote on it. Do I hear a motion?
Yep, so I'll make that motion to approve these amendments as submitted.
Okay, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Oh, is there any comments from the public on this?
I think they went.
None? Then a motion has been made and seconded to approve as submitted. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Thank you, it's approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I just want to make one last comment that you can contact Lars or Jessica, and you're all welcome to come out and take a look periodically. We always love to get input as we're going. As the board recognized, this has evolved. And when we did get out in the field, the functionality, it became issues in how to use the spaces, and that's what prompted all these.
I summarize it as nips and tucks.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, and I think you did it the right way. You know what I mean? Especially a project of this caliber. So it happens. Things you can't be exact 8 years ago and then be able to come. So I think I don't know. I think you did it right.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for your time.
Have a good day.
Would somebody get Mr. Rump, please?
Yeah, we'll get him. He might have went to lunch too.
Good to see you.
All right, good to see you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ready to go.
Yes, please.
Okay,
12:30.
Okay, is there any further business to come before the board? If
None.
not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, motion has been made to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Our
Thank you.
next meeting will be on the 18th of February.